Hello boys and girls, Undertaker Freak 1127 here, and I want to start this video with a question, and I want actual answers. How embarrassing do you think that Donald Trump is at this point in history? How embarrassed are you that you have to look to this guy as the leader of your country? When I saw that Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered, my first thought absolutely was not, what does Donald Trump have to say about this? But unfortunately, we live in a world now where a lot of people, that's the first thought in their minds. Something happens far away from Washington, has nothing to do with politics whatsoever, and they're just rushing to X or Truth Social or whatever, and they want to know what Donald Trump has to say about it, because apparently it matters. you know. And predictably, Donald Trump was not very, he's not very nice about Rob Reiner's, not just death, but murder. He was a complete asshole about it, and then he doubled down on it later in the White House, not just from his phone on the toilet, but actually standing in the White House saying that he was a reprehensible man. Well, that's not in his vocabulary. He was a bad man because he made fun of me. He made fun of me. And that's Donald Trump in a nutshell, right? The thinnest of skin on this guy, and yet a lot of the people who support him the most ardently are these big, tough, macho men who, everyone's too sensitive, and it's just a big jerk off. All of that, all the people who follow him. That's kind of what I want to talk about in this video, because I think it's safe to say we're at a point where Donald Trump is completely irredeemable. There's nothing he can do. Absolutely nothing he can do to take anything away from the fact that he is one of the worst human beings to ever exist in the history of humanity. And he just keeps proving it every single day. And here he is once again proving it. This guy who just been murdered, potentially by his son, in his home. The only thing he can say. And mind you, I am not a big Rob Reiner fan. I'm not a fan, and I'm not a fan. I'm just like, I've seen maybe 2 of his movies, and I'm just saying this to let you know I'm not like a fanboy of his, a stan of his. But I'm also saying that to let you know that you don't have to be a fanboy or a stan of his or whatever to just look at a situation and go, oh, that sucks. That's horrible. That's just like, why? Rob Reiner, as far as we know, didn't commit any big crimes. He wasn't a terrible person, and then this horrible thing happened to him. He didn't go around the country going to college campuses under the guise of the marketplace of ideas and free speech and just spew hatred and contempt and bigotry and subtract joy from the human race. That's not what Rob Reiner did. He made movies that made people happy, and from a little bit that I know about him, the little bit that I gleaned, he was probably a pretty good guy, and he was on the right side of history in a lot of ways. So this orange doofus goes in on him at like the worst possible time after he's been found murdered, and he's the president of the United States, guys. He's the president of the United fucking States. And this is his mentality. This is how he chooses to go about a situation like this. And you trust him with the nuclear codes. You trust him with the fate of your country. You trust him with your economy. Like, again, this is what I want to talk about. You remember Charlie Kirk? I kind of alluded to him just a few seconds ago. There is a point in time where there is like a website even, and I'm probably on that list, because of the things that I put on my Instagram about him, but like a list of people saying negative things about Charlie Kirk. And this was started by conservatives. This wasn't like a bipartisan effort. This was just thin-skinned conservatives, just trying to go after people who had even the slightest negative thing to say about Charlie. Not just people who were celebrating, but people who were just speaking negatively of him, And some of these people would absolutely lose their shit. How dare you speak ill of the dead? How dare you speak... Never mind that Charlie Kirk did it all the time. He made a career out of speaking ill of the dead, speaking ill of people on the margins of society, speaking ill of the poor. and so much worse, you know. Those people lost their minds, and these same people will look at Trump saying something about a guy who was just murdered in his house, a guy who did nothing wrong by all standards, and I'm like, oh, yeah, but he probably had a point. Well, he said some bad things about him. Where are we in this world? Hello, are we? Is this not the worst fucking timeline? Like, are we not on the weirdest, worst timeline in history? My God, you people who still find ways, who do all of these mental gymnastics to find ways to support this guy and to defend him, you need to grow up. That's my point with this video. There have been all these flashpoints where Trump has said or done something that should have been the end for you. That should have been, okay, sorry, Donald, I used to love your message, but that was too much. That was a little too much. Here we are, folks. Here we are. Once again, he has shown how unbelievably immature and what an unbelievably unwashed asshole he is. To say that kind of stuff, and if you don't care about Rob Reiner and you don't care about his movies, you didn't care about his politics, fine. But if you're the kind of person who lost their shit when you went online and saw people speaking ill of Charlie Kirk, where are you now? Guy murdered horribly for no good reason whatsoever. Do you have the same fight in you? Do you got that same energy? No, you probably don't, because you're a hypocritical piece of shit. I said I wasn't going to rant that much anymore, but and yes, I know that the things out of Donald Trump's mouth, every other thing, is rage bait. I know that these things are meant to distract. Trust me, I'm not distracted from his crimes against humanity. I'm not distracted from his crimes in general. I'm not distracted from the fact that he's got people behind him pulling the strings. Donald Trump is a husk, okay? I understand this. And I understand that I am taking the rage bait to sit here and make this video. But I also feel like I have to make this video because, actually, I don't have to make it, but I feel like making it. Yeah, I had to think about that one for a second. But, there's got to come a point collectively where people look at the track record of this guy, or any guy like him, and start asking some questions, and to start, critically thinking. But for all intents and purposes, Donald Trump is a husk, yeah. And the Project 2025 thing was not Donald Trump's brainchild. It was not, the people who he has around him now, those are the people enacting it. Donald Trump is not smart enough. Donald Trump does not have, he's almost 80 years old, and his brain's gone. His brain's gone. I'm surprised his heart is even still beating. He has ragu coursing through his veins. He has famously not taken care of himself. That's not just me fat shaming or whatever. He's a husk physically and mentally, and everyone else around him. The things that he says, the things that he does, he's being encouraged. He's being pushed to send that diarrhea out there so that we don't notice his crimes, so that we don't notice the things happening that have his fingerprints all over them, that I'm very confident one day are all going to come back around and bite him, and all of the people either the people in his cabinet or all the people, the shakers and the movers of the Trump tornado. They're all going to find their fucking day in prison, or their day in court, and hopefully their day in prison. It's just, we're embroiled in this culture war, and I hate that fucking phrase, but that's what conservatives want. And I think this is just another extension of that. Trump just being a complete fucking baby. But the culture war, it will only last as long as people's attention spans, or rather their tolerance for being lied to, and their tolerance for bullshit. To be a conservative is to be a bit of a sociopath. And that whole mindset, if anything is ever going to change in the United States, that whole mindset has to change, the conservative mindset. It used to just be, we want small government, and maybe we don't like poor people very much, but we don't want them to die or starve. And now it's like, Even if these people are poor themselves, fuck them, you know? And all these distractions and things to take away our fight against the billionaire class that is ruining absolutely everything in this world. Yeah, I know all this is just, it's a rage bait, and I'm going for it, but I feel like I have to just sit here and once again, because I know that the Trump people, they see my videos because they've commented on enough of them. And I just got to ask you, like, what's going to be it for you? Like, is this just another one of those, yeah, he's a flawed human, but, I still like his policies, and I still, like, because even his policy, you're running out of reasons. You used to like him because he was going to make America great again. And I got to tell you, as a guy living in Europe, nobody on this continent except for like far right, and even a lot of those far right people are looking at Trump as a bastion of greatness. Nor do they look at America as like a bastion or a beacon of hope and safety and freedom. And Denmark just labeled the U.S. as a security threat, okay? And they've long been voted as like a threat to world peace long before Trump got in there. What do you think it's like now? Like, what are you still clinging to when it comes to Trump? What notion are you still clinging to? That he's a good leader? Good leaders don't go out there and say that kind of shit about people. Like, just because they didn't like them politically. That's actually a weakness. But you've been brainwashed to believe that that's a strength, that, people who don't like me, yeah, we need to, like, browbeat them and make fun of them. And, the same way that, people on the left were making fun of Charlie Kirk and you just couldn't handle it, You are being so fucking fooled and led down a path of, you're just being led straight up Schitt's Creek. And you're being taught to learn to love the soft caress of the shit on your body as it engulfs you from every fucking atom. It's bad, and you need to wake up, and you need to start really asking yourself, is this the guy that you want to keep hitching your wagon to? I know you live in a country where you only got two choices, and it's getting that way in Finland too, and it's getting that way in a lot of European countries where, there are notionally a lot of political parties, but there's only like two who ever have a lot of say in anything, and it's really sad. But are you embarrassed yet? I think the day that you can wake up and read something about Trump and go like, yeah, ugh, if I were living in another country and I saw that, I'd be pretty embarrassed to tell people that I'm from that place, or to tell people that that's my president. That's probably the point. You should embrace that. You shouldn't run away from that thought. The way that a lot of you conservatives run away from your homoerotic thoughts, and which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You just need to embrace them. That's the problem. Oh God, I know so many of you homophobes and transphobes. Like, your closet is balls deep in skeletons. But yeah, you should embrace those thoughts, and you should run towards them, not away from them. You should be like, yeah, maybe there is a reason that I shouldn't be supporting this guy. I don't know. Guy can dream, can he? And that's not going to solve all the problems of the world overnight. Even if Trump, is removed from power tomorrow and the most progressive guy in the world were elected, there's still the problem of the billionaires, and that's the real problem. And just the super rich in general. But yeah, maybe yammerings for another video. Anyway, that's all I had to say for now, and go Red Wings. And I hope you're all doing all right. I'll save this for another video. Have a good day.